Hello, everybody. Ooh, squeaky. Um, hey, you out there? Anybody? Um, I I think that Takeerah's internet is out. So I think I'm gonna be here by myself. But anyway, all that to say, it's your girl Punky Brewster. That's my intro because I can't be bothered to come up with anything better. And this is the first episode of the second season of Finding Found, a show in which we talk about NBC's hit TV show Found, which has now been moved to Thursday evenings. It was on Tuesday evenings and it is now on Thursdays. And I don't know. We were doing Wednesday coverage live on the channel, following each episode, following the day after each episode. Wow. Um, because it aired really late. And so I'm back and more tired than ever. It airs late. I'm on the East Coast, so it does air at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I don't know. What do you want? Do you want coverage live immediately following the show? Or are you trying to go to bed? Because I want to go to bed. And if that's the case, then do you want a live show on Fridays? I don't know. You guys tell me. You tell me. You let me know. Um, Weekends would be kind of hard, I feel like. So maybe Friday is doable. I'm not really sure. Live after the fact, a little bit hard, but you know, I would sacrifice for you. I'd sacrifice my sleep for you for a full season of from Found. Oh my god. A full season of Found. We have 22 episodes. Hold up, hold up, hold up. I'll give you the real information. Demaine Davis posted it on her Twitter. So let me go ahead and just check that really quick. She's also reposted a lot of stuff, so bear with me. I'm really rolling pretty far back here in the timeline to find out. But yes, 22 episodes. We will receive 22 episodes this season. So it was renewed for a full season. It was also moved to Thursday evenings to follow Law and Order SVU, which I think is kind of an interesting choice to have like a crime evening. They've done that historically. They usually like to pair those kind of shows up. And then The Irrational, which is another show on NBC that's kind of in the same vein, has now taken Found's old spot on Tuesday evenings. So it's kind of some interesting scheduling shifting that's been going on. Um, we started off really strong with this first episode. And of course, it's got to leave you on a cliffhanger. They're going to pull you in. This first episode of the second season was entitled Missing Wild Bait. And it was written and directed by the showrunner, Coral Carroll. And so, yeah, so it was really, really, really strong. I think it was very action packed. Everyone who was watching it and live tweeting was just like, the tweets were just flying because of how much was going on in the episode. So, as the episode started off, immediately following the end of the first season's episode, so they are immediately following. At the end of last season, as we know, Gabi finally admitted to Margaret that she had been keeping Sir in her basement like a weirdo. And Don already knew because he helped her do it. And she also told Lacey. And so there was some really high tension. And then the last episode of the first season cut off with us knowing that Sir was in someone's house. We all assumed it was Lacey. I didn't even assume it would have been anybody else's, but that he was in Lacey's apartment. And so that's where we jumped in. He was in Lacey's apartment, and he did take her. He also apparently in his vast free time on the lam, also went and poisoned everyone's food and drink. And all I could think this whole episode is, I really hope that Don told his therapist boyfriend that that stuff was probably poison and didn't just like book it, because we didn't see him talk to Ethan. So hopefully he did. And Ethan didn't go home and then ingest poison. Unfortunately, our favorite Zeke did fall victim to Sir's poisoning. So pretty upsetting. So yeah, so we saw um kind of that final, it's not fully wrapped up, but we did finally get an answer as to what was going on from the end of the first season. And so this whole episode was really just action packed as we're looking into where is Sir, where is Lacey, and are they going to be able to reunite Lacey and Gabby? I think, have they surprised me and wrapped up an episode just incredibly quickly? Where I've been like, oh my God, there's only 10 minutes. How are they going to wrap this up? And they've done it. Yes. Did I think that they were going to do it with this first episode? Not particularly, because again, then they lose kind of that hook to like get new viewers in. Because I'm assuming now that this is airing after Law and Order SVU, this is probably going to hit like a new market of people, which is really exciting for the show. So I'm excited to see how many people are going to be invested in this. This was a really, 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 really strong season premiere. So that was really cool, and I was excited to see it. Normally I have Takeerah here to riff off of, and we can kind of chat back and forth about our opinions about it. But unfortunately her internet is out, so it's just yours truly here to talk about Found this evening. So I like I said, really thought it was a super strong first episode. Um So let's just kind of break down what happened with each character, because there were a couple different things that happened. So we kind of already talked about Gabby, just kind of reeling from Lacey being taken, Sir's on the loose. Now you're worried about all of your staff members because they're viewed as a threat and to Sir. And so she's kind of reeling from that. She's also got to talk to Lacey's mom, and there's also an immense feeling of guilt. And she's got to talk to Trent, which, oof, that was rough. Um, I did really enjoy kind of the back and forth with Trent and also the back and forth with Margaret. We talked a lot during the first season about how unhinged Gabby had become and how there was no way that people are going to be okay with this once they found out. And we definitely saw that they were not okay with it. And I was really glad that we got to come back and address those issues, because you don't just keep someone in your basement and then like get to just walk away from that. That's weird. That's super weird. So so I'm glad that we got to touch on that. So anyway, Margaret's story. So Margaret was back at the train station, visibly incredibly upset, obviously after her conversation with Gabby. And she does not ingest the sandwich that she has with her, luckily, because she's crying too hard. And she is ignoring the many, many, many missed calls from Gabby. But Dawn is able to get a hold of her and convinces her not to touch or eat anything that she has with her. And so she is safe. From there, really, the majority of the Margaret aspect of this episode was Margaret interacting with Gabby and really telling her off. Um, I think as mad as she is, it does appear that she does have a fair amount of concern for Gabby's mental health and well-being. And I think that will continue to kind of be maybe a thorn in Gabby's side for the next few episodes as we kind of see what happens as we're dealing with all of this. Um, so strong episode for Margaret. I thought it was good character development for her because now we're getting to see her really kind of put her foot down. She's developed a lot. She developed a lot over the first season. We got to see her kind of try to take a step back from being at the train station every night. Now she was there again, but if we're looking at this as like she's really going through something, being at the train station is very much a comfort for her to be there to be able to look for her son. I think it would be really hard for her to continue that work of not being there while like falling apart because of everything that happened with Gabby. Um, Zeke's storyline is like really just about the being poisoned. So he ingested poison because Sir got to his food. Don is able to get there in time. Luckily, he is hospitalized. And then once he wakes up, which, like, bro, did none of you tell the doctor that he's agoraphobic? Like, what is happening? That probably should have been mentioned, and I feel like maybe they could have sedated him or something. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know, it seemed like a weird choice, but obviously he wakes up and he's agoraphobic and he's not in his house anymore. So he is literally just like breaking down. His dad is there, which we haven't, his family situation has always been a little bit touchy for him. And so we haven't seen a lot of his family. So this was interesting to see. And his dad genuinely seems like he's a kind guy, wants the best for his son. But how do you deal with the aftermath of your child being kidnapped? It just seems like that was really a struggle for him. So I am excited to hopefully see more development there. I'd like to see us kind of dig further into that. And then maybe that leads somewhere with like curing the agoraphobia. I would hope. I don't know. We'll see. Um, when it came to Don's story, honestly, Don's story this time around was just really about being the counterpart to Gabby's hijinks, I guess we'll say. He is a fierce protector and there was a lot of talk on Twitter about I'm sorry, the ex. A lot of talk about how he is ride or die for Gabby. He really truly is. Um we did get a mention of therapist boyfriend Ethan, which you know, they could just let that storyline go, and be I'd be okay with it because, it just seems like a real professional conflict for you to date your patient, you absolute creep. Anyway, it's fine, I'm fine. I'm fine. We won't talk about Ethan anymore. So that's really Don's story. There wasn't a ton to his character development this time around, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll get it more in the season. As I said, 22 episodes this season, so we're gonna get a lot more this year than we did last year. Lacey's story is obviously backstory. It's all backstory to what happened to her after the kidnapping by Sir. We haven't seen much of that to this point. So we saw her as a child being kidnapped and being held by Sir with Gabby. And then we saw like her life now and how, she had to change her name. She's got like 80 locks on her door. For obvious reasons. I'm not saying that's same. I would as well. Um, And so this was kind of nice to see like this backstory. And we find out that she's been back with her mom for a few weeks and she's not talking. And Gabby does come over to visit and brings her a book called The Dot and the Kangaroo, which actually, let me look that up. Let me see if that's even a real book. There were several books mentioned in this episode, which is interesting. The Dot and the Kangaroo is a movie. Is it a book? Dot and the Kangaroo is a book by Ethel C. Pedley. Okay, cool. Let's see what it's about. Okay, this is this is literally like a PDF copy of it with the illustrations. Nope, sorry, this is like a pretty thick book. I was looking more for like a synopsis. I'm gonna go ahead and share this in the chat though, because this is interesting. So hold on one second. Let me get this pulled up in the chat for you. And that way, if you want to take a look, you are welcome to. And I'm gonna go ahead. This is on YouTube that I'm putting this in the chat. Okay, so Dot and the Kangaroo is an 1899. Woof. Australian children's book about a little girl named Dot who gets lost in the Australian outback and is eventually befriended by a kangaroo and several other marsupials. The book was adapted into a stage production in 1924 and a film in 1977. So the story has been around for a long time. Plot summary. A 5-year-old girl named Dot is lost in the outback after chasing a hare into the woods and losing sight of her home. She is approached by a gray kangaroo who gives her some berries to eat. Upon eating the berries, Dot is able to understand the language of all animals, and she tells the kangaroo her plight. The kangaroo, who has lost her own Joey, decides to help little Dot despite her own fear of humans. They consult the platypus, who insists on being called, oh my goodness, ornith. Okay, hold on. We're like going Latin here. My brain can't handle it. Ornithorhynchus. Orn- Ornithorhynchus paradoxus. And he tells them that Willie Wagtail, okay, will be able to help her after much adventure, including being hunted by um Aboriginal tribe, it looks like, and Dot being on trial in an animal court. Dot and her kangaroo finally find her home, and the kangaroo finds her Joey there. Oh, it's got like a happy ending all around, it would appear. Um, Seems really sweet. If not, probably a bit problematic, I would guess, if it was written in 1899. Just saying, folks. And So that it does appear to be like a chapter book. What Gabby handed her was like a picture book. So maybe just a very simplified version of it. Um, and then also they were reading, Lacey and her mom were reading one of the Oz books. I didn't obviously I just watched the episode as it aired, so I didn't have time to like look at the little details, but I don't know what Oz book that would have been, but it looked like it was maybe a Return to Oz. I couldn't really see the cover, and obviously I'm laying in bed because it's late and I'm extremely tired. So anyway, um, maybe I'll be able to find that and bring that up for next week. All right, let me go ahead and put this link in this chat if I can without get rid of this Google ad, man. I mean YouTube ad. Okay. All right, there you go. There is the full version of the book, apparently. So if you're interested and want to go take a read, go ahead. I would suppose that the reason that she brought that is because it was about a little girl who got lost. And so, just trying to comfort her and help her to focus on being brave, because that really seemed to be what her mother was trying to reiterate as well with the Oz book. So we're just trying to convince her that like she's okay. We come to find out she's been scared this whole time because she's worried that Sir is coming back for her, and her mom just deems it as like she's having scary dreams. But we find out in one of the last scenes that no, she's not. That Sir is literally just right outside the window. Lit. His face is fully lit here. So I feel like it would have been really easy to see him, but I'm not in that moment. I don't know. So what a creep. What an absolute creep. Hello, Maxine Minx apologist. I'm really glad we got to see at least one parent comfort their traumatized child for real. For real. For real. That was kind of nice. It was like a nice, Yeah, we don't really get to see that very often. I mean, we get to see, like, at the end when they're, like, reunited, we get to see some hugs, but it was nice to see her, like, actively try to work with her child through this, like, really traumatic experience. Um, so Gabby shows up with this book, which the link to is in the chat, and then I think that really kind of wraps up Lacey's story, but I do wanna kinda move on to other literature. So, there's a couple other books that are mentioned in this episode. I'm gonna try to do a little more research and maybe have a little more information about this next week. So there were 4 books mentioned in this episode because there's the book, the Oz book that Lacey and her mother have. There is The Dot and the Kangaroo. There are the 2 books is Plato's whatever, and then, the other book that I can't remember, Native something. I'm gonna look into that. I wanna kind of do a little bit of digging to figure out kind of the depth of that. I know that they kind of I was I have to say, one of my comments on Twitter was that, like, this everybody on this show is extremely well read apparently because they're, like, seeing these books and they're like, "Oh, that's about this." And I'm like, "Dang, dude, I I did not read all of those books. I Native Son. Thank you, Maxine. Thank you. Native Son. I have not read all of these books, so I could not give you a brief synopsis in the parking lot on what it is, but it was impressive. I have to say it was impressive. Um so I thought that was really cool. Anyway, I'll do a little bit of digging so I can kind of get like what really is the gist of all of this. And then are we gonna see more of this? We did see a fair amount of literature in the first season. I didn't spend a ton of time talking about it, but now that it's so hammered home in this episode, I think I'm gonna try to spend a little more time kind of digging into those little bits and pieces, and hopefully we'll have some kind of Easter eggs through that, maybe. I'm not really sure. So we've talked about Margaret, we've talked about Lacey, we've talked about Dawn, we've talked about Zeke. Um, we've talked about Gabby, Trent. Let's come to Detective Trent. Um, Good on you, Trent. Just I'm gonna say that your girl lied to you for a whole season, and yeah, she did you kind of dirty. You almost lost your job over it. I'm glad that they kind of had that confrontation. Someone on X had mentioned that they were really glad that we weren't, like, glazing over that because we really skidded past it last time, in the first season when it was first discussed. It's like all of a sudden he was just back at work and it was like, "Oh, nothing everything's fine, nothing happened." Maxine said it was only a matter of time before the Trent chickens came to roost. Truly, truly. I am I'm so glad that we get to kind of see him stand up for himself and really honor the law that he's supposed to be, protecting and serving. Um, and so, she finally tells Trent after, all of these many episodes of us waiting, she finally opens up to him, tells him he is pissed. He's pissed. Um, that was you, Maxine. Oh my goodness. Okay, great. That was such a it was such a good comment during the live tweeting. So thank you for that. They did pretend like it didn't happen and it was ridiculous. So, and also thank you for being here. So fun. I have to say, yeah, this was just kind of wild that we just like blew past it. So I'm really glad that we came back to it. He really stood up for himself, put his foot down, is honoring the law. It's great. They go they go to search the crime scene. This is the part I loved. He's like, "We'll go see the scene." And she's like, "They've already searched it so many times." And that's my Gabby impression. Apparently that was horrible. And then they go, he's like, "No, not there. Your crime scene. 'Cause you're a criminal. you've been harboring you've been harboring a fugitive in your basement as a prisoner. And so they go to Gabby's house and check out the basement, and Gabby's like losing it, right? She's kind of like having like a flashback while they're there. Not okay. Trent interrupts that little like walk down memory lane that she's having, and the whole place smells like bleach. Yes, Maxine. She cleaned it. I am like my flabbers are gasted. You know what I mean? Like, what? You bleached it, girl. Oh God. You said that you wanted to come clean. You didn't mean you were gonna clean it. You said you were gonna come clean. So she was supposed to come clean and take full responsibility for the crime that she had committed. And instead, she destroyed all evidence of 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 the actual crime. I I can't. I can't. I mean, like, we knew she was unhinged, is why we love her, right? But wow. What a moment. What a moment. What a moment. And so obviously they have like the whole conversation, and Trent's like, I I opened up to you. I shared things with you I've never shared with anyone before. And that meant something to me. And Gabby says that it means something to her too. And I do believe her. I think it did. She was just so scared of like what would it mean if she told everyone what had happened, that she couldn't admit to him what was going on. And so because of that, he doesn't believe her now because she's been lying for so many months. So he doesn't believe her when she says that it meant something to her. I'm hoping that we'll kind of work through that somehow. We did also get to see the police chief who we just love to hate, you know. He's great. He was actually he was actually really like sympathetic to Gabby during this, which is not the normal like gruff. She's always breaking the law and taking things into her own hands, and I don't like her. It wasn't that. It's not what we normally would get. So that was interesting. And you could see the Trent and fair play on the actor who plays Trent. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but here, let me snag that info so I'm not just saying that. Brett Dalton. Brett Dalton, who plays Detective Trent, his facial expression during this was really great. It's clear that he's wanting to kind of express to the chief that Gabby is actually the one who was holding Sir prisoner, and she's also the reason he's not there anymore. And um, so that was kind of interesting. I kind of hope Mark doesn't forgive her so quickly because she had multiple opportunities to come clean and didn't. You're really you're really not wrong. I mean, I don't wanna see any of this stuff. I mean, the Lacey thing I would like to see wrapped up. But when it comes to how Gabby's gonna have to deal with the fallout of her actions, I really do hope that this is kind of at least half of the season long. At least. I really wanna see them kind of play through it, you know, really kinda get in and dig into these emotions. Because if they just blow past this, I think it's gonna really undermine the writing, right? Like we need to see them be mad at her for a fair amount of time because this is a really big deal that she lied about so many things to so many people for so long. Um because like we have to remember when the first season starts, we don't really know how long Sir has been there. It's not like he just got in there that day. We don't know how long he's been there. So, like, how long has this been going on for? She was already holding that secret when we started the show. So, I don't know. I don't know how long it was going on, but the lying has been happening for a while, a while. Um, so I'm excited to kind of see where that goes. We got a little more screen time for Trent's partner, which I was excited about. So that was kind of cool. Um I can't remember her name. I can't remember her name. It's Anissa Niall Johnson is the actress, but I can't remember the detective's name. So I apologize, but guys, like it's been a long time since the show was on. Kinda lost some of the information, you know? Um, but yeah, I was excited to see a little bit more from her and I'm really looking forward to how this season goes. We've really kind of touched on everything. The only thing we didn't talk about is Sir. I think they said it was 9 months. Yeah. Not 9 months you've been lying to all of your closest friends. They're supposed to be your family. 9 months, man. It's just a I don't know. I really hope I hope and I think that this will be the season focus. I think this is really of course, I think there's gonna be, a lot of, like, trying to get Sir back and all of that kinda thing, because we can't just catch him right away. That'd be super lame. But I want them to spend some time really digging into this, and I think it'll make for a really emotional, experience. I think it'll be really great. So I'm really hopeful for that. Um, yeah, and Sir's a giant creep. That wraps it up about Sir. You know what I mean? Like I don't have much else to say about him. He's like spying through young Bella slash Lacey's window, like just an absolute goon. Jermaine, hey bud, it's been a really long time since I've talked to you. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think we're in for a really good season. I'm really excited. Let me just check and see. Episode 2 is okay. So again, another 42-minute episode. It is going to be called Missing While Difficult. I'm not going to look at the little write-up synopsis that's already up there. Um, because I like to be pleasantly surprised. I don't even really watch the teaser for the next episode typically. It was on, but I was trying to get over here. I'm good. I deleted my Walking Dead Eternal channel. Oh, I'm sad to hear that. I'm really sad to hear that, Jermaine. But I'm glad you're good. I'm really glad you're good. Yeah, so I think that really wraps it up. When you don't have anybody to riff off of, it's just not as fun. So I'm missing Takira. Her and I have not been able to talk very much, really, since Found ended. We both got incredibly busy with jobs and stuff, work. She got a new job. She moved like from the Midwest to the East Coast. And so she's been really busy. And so I was excited to get back to this. So I'm really, really, really hopeful she can be here next week and we can talk about the episodes. Because she's such a huge fan. And I know that she would have loved this. It was too many channels. That's fair. That's fair. That's very, very fair. Um, yeah, so next week's episode, honestly, I don't know. Maxine, you're here. What do you think? Live immediately following the show or live on Fridays? Because typically we were doing like we would watch the episode on Tuesday, take a little time to process, and then we would do Wednesday night live at like 7 or 8. Um, and that worked pretty well, I think, for both of us. I could see going live maybe Friday, but, like, people are busy on Fridays. So, I don't know. I don't know that that would be worth it, but 11 PM Eastern Standard Time is pretty late. Pretty late. Maybe the next day? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and, talk to Takira about that and see if we can't come up with a firmer time frame. But if you are following me, which, you can follow me here on YouTube. You can follow me on X. I'm super inactive there though. So actually, I'm pretty inactive everywhere unless we're friends on TikTok. And then I will send you funny TikToks. Um, because that's what I like to do apparently with my free time. I should be making content, But instead, I'm doing that. Same routine, says Jermaine, so the day after. I would lean towards that too. It gives me a little more time to, like, look into things. Like I said, I can't really look into the books and stuff. I mean, I can look it up while I'm on here, but then you guys are waiting for me to, like, read stuff. It's just weird, right? So, all right, I'll think it over and I'll get back to you guys. But if you want to know when that's going to be, I'll be posting like probably little promo things on Instagram Live for sure. And usually I try to remind people on X just because I know people are on there and are actively live tweeting about the show. So it's usually a good place for me to do that. So I look forward to next week. I'm excited. This was really good. So thank you, Maxine, for being here. Thank you, Jermaine, for being here. And anybody else that is listening and just wasn't active in the chat. I still appreciate you too. So thank you very much. And I will see you next week. Hopefully, fingers crossed, with Takeerah. The last thing I have to say about this is, bro, there's no payphones anymore. Where is there a payphone? I felt like we traveled in time. She had to look up, like, the one payphone in, like, the 100 miles surrounding that area because there are no payphones anywhere anymore. That was ridiculous. That was such a, like, that's a 90s move. That is a 90s detective show move. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Maxine, oh, thank you for being a sub. And yes, I will see you guys next week. Much love. Thank you again for being here. Love you so much. And we will talk finding found next